Okay, this is Diane Gould Hall, back again. I think I forgot to tell you who I was in my second video. I'm pretty new to all of this YouTube video producing, so forgive me for any errors or mistakes in here. Let's continue with now the third video and getting started with digital scrapbooking. We have learned how to add images to our pages and add backgrounds. We've learned to add text as a title and how to change the text. And we've learned to add text to identify the people in your scrapbook pages, because otherwise they're just pictures. So now I thought I would work on the most important part of this, is telling your ancestors' story. And you want to make sure that each page, when I create a book, each page is about a certain couple or a certain ancestor, and it tells their story. In order to do that, you have to add a text box that's larger, of course, than the one for the title. To do that, I'm going to move around some pictures. So this picture of my great-grandmother, I'm just going to move that right up here. This picture, I'll move this over here. This is a marriage record. This isn't really, you work on your pages a lot. When you're doing your pages, things are moved around a lot because, oh, that doesn't look right, or this doesn't look right. In this particular case, we're not doing a finalized page. I just want to show you how to add their story in here. Now, this is one of those situations, you know, this census report right here, we added that little background to it by using a different piece of paper in the background. But I think I showed you in video number 2, when you add text and you move things around, you move the picture around, the text doesn't always go with it. In this case, let me go back here, let me move this over. In this case, we not only have a census record, but we also have text and a background. And if I want to move it around, I want all three of those to move together. So I am going to use, again, the link. So I'm going to link, go to over here to the highlighted census record. We're going to go to the background, click on the link. And then we're going to go to the text, which is this one right here, and click on that. Now you can see all three of those are highlighted in the orange color. That means that I can move this anywhere I want. I can resize it. Whichever one of these you click on, whether it's the text or the background or the census record, it'll put bounding boxes around it, and it allows you to work with this image, all three of them at once, as you can see. So it makes it really nice. And sometimes you'll want to move these around. I know I'm getting off the subject here of adding the ancestor story, but I can't help myself. Sometimes I do that. You can tuck things underneath other things, because you don't necessarily have to show the whole census or the whole marriage record. You could tuck this under there like that if you wanted to at some point. So there's a lot to learn, and we're going at it step by step here. So I want to put a box here. Let me go back to this picture, move it over here. Maybe I'll make that a little bit smaller. Okay. So let's add a box here to tell my great-grandmother's story. There's a text box. If you want to see what you're typing, you're going to want to zoom in. So Control plus, move your bar down here, move your bar here, and there's your text box, and you'll be able to see what you're typing. So then I just begin typing May Eve Thorpe was born. In fact, let me go to her over here. Give me a second. I'm going into Legacy, and I'm going to call her up so I have all of her information right in front of me. Okay, there she is. May E. Thorpe was born, let's see, May E. Thorpe was the second of 10 children born to Horace H. Thorpe Sr. and Catherine C. Dorsey. You know you can never type when people are watching you. Second, she was born, let me click on her over here. She was born for, I always use the genealogical standard when I enter my dates. I don't want there to be any mistake about whether the 4th month, would I put 4/4/1862. You can do that. You can do, you know, if I put 6/4/1862, is that the 6th month and the 4th date, or the 4th month and the 6th date? So I always use our genealogical standard, which is the day first, the month, and then the year. She was born 1862 in, oops, like I said, you can't type when someone's watching, in Oswego, New York. I'm just going to do a quick, just a real quick bio story here. She married William Rivaldo Gould on 12 October 1881 in Jackson, Illinois. I've never figured out why they married in Illinois when they lived in Detroit their whole lives. He was from Michigan and she was from New York, and they married in Illinois. I haven't quite figured that out. Anyway, I digress. In Jackson, Illinois, they had 6 children, 3 sons and 3 daughters. I'm just going to leave that at that because we don't want to go on and on and on, and I don't want to take up too much of your time. Now I'm going to zoom out. So there's your text box. Now, you, of course, if your text is just that small and you've got that small a story, you could make your box smaller. And that's fine to do. You can also, if you click on the text itself and you highlight it, you can come down here and make it all left justified, right justified, or center it. I generally keep it centered. And of course, as before, you can come in here and change it to a 14 font or whatever the size, and you can change the type of font by coming over here to your font menu. So that's how we add their stories in here. Sometimes, depending on the background, you're going to want to add something behind the text in order to have it stand out. So you can add a piece of paper. So let's go to our File Explorer. Let's go up here to Scrapbooking. Let's go to, let's see, we'll go in here to Tags and Text Boxes. I have everything organized by the type of item it is. So I'll just show you how to add one. It doesn't really matter which. We'll just add this one. So what I would do is I would drop over here back to Photoshop Elements, go to my photo bin, go back over to Explorer, drop this text box down here, okay, go back to the page you're working on, pick that text box, drag it up here, and now you've got another area on your page, and I would probably want to rotate this, spread it out so it will fill in behind this text. Perfect. Except now you have to move that box underneath the text. The box is right here, as you can see over in your right hand column in your layers, and your text is right here. So just drop it down underneath, and there you have it. Now you can move this around, and you can see that the text is more easily read if it has a different background than the busy background that you've used. So sometimes you're going to want to do that. The other thing is you can also, this is again a little bit off topic, but you can change the opacity on any of your items. So let's say I wanted to make that a little lighter, that little background there. Come up here to opacity and just change it. You see over there? See how it now you can still see the paper in the background, and that text box that I added helps the text be more visible. And sometimes that's a look you want. So let's make it there. Let's leave it at like 84. And that looks pretty nice. And then you can add a shadow around that. Go down here to styles. You can add a shadow like that. If you don't like that shadow, you can go up to this shadow. And it makes it kind of look 3D. And a lot of us like that in our scrapbooking. We like it to look a little bit more 3D. So I actually prefer, yeah, that's not bad. I like that one right there, a little lighter. So then I'm going to go back to layers, and then I could do the same thing here with this picture right here. I could go over to styles and I could add a shadow around it. But beware that it might cover up your text, so you always want to be aware of that. Let's go back to layers, because now what we have a text box that's behind your text. And the same thing applies. You move the text box around, the text doesn't go with it. So what you're going to want to do is use your little links. You've got your text box highlighted. Go up here, click on the words, the text box, and now those are linked. And I think that's something that most of us use a lot, all the time. The other thing I want to share with you here, a little extra tidbit, is let's say, let me unlink those for a second. I'm trying to move this around, and I'm moving it with your mouse. It kind of moves in, bigger increments maybe than you want. So here's a tip. I want to center this, so I'm going to just use my arrow on my keyboard here, and I'm going to use the right arrow. You can see it's moving to the right, or I can move it to the left, or I can move it up and down. And that's something I do too, because I'm kind of goofy about having things centered correctly. So the left, right, up and down arrows are how you do incremental movements on your items. So that's today's lesson on adding a story. Now you might want to move that story around. You're going to change this page a lot before you finalize it. But you always want to add the ancestor story. Hope that's been helpful today.